and monitored daily by the Central Bank of Kenya. What this means for you? Paying loans on time can get you lower interest and access more credit. Your interest rate will be unique to you based on your repayment history. Even if you've defaulted before, you can rebuild your record and qualify for a better loan interest rate over time. Pay your loans on time, build a strong repayment history, and unlock more opportunities. Contact your bank for more information.
It is exactly at the top of the hour. Welcome to KBC's Lunchtime News. We have gathered a lot for you at this hour, so stay tuned for the next 1 hour or so to get updated about what is happening in the country and beyond our borders. My name is Abdiaziz Hashim. The sign language interpreter at the bottom end of the screen is Caroline Joroge. And we start with the ruling UDA party, where UDA aspirants were at State House today for a meeting convened by UDA top leadership led by President William Ruto and Deputy President Professor Kithure Kindiki. Speaking during the meeting, Professor Kindiki took a swipe at the opposition over its criticism of the government's handling of the education sector. The Deputy President noted that the current government has strived to address confusion that was threatening transition from primary to junior secondary school, at a situation he alleges was left behind by the previous administration. Kindiki says under the Kenya Kwanza administration, 100,000 teachers have been employed and the budgetary allocation to the education sector has been enhanced.
President of the Republic of Kenya. And I want to tell you that for the first time, we are implementing this manifesto page by page, paragraph by paragraph, chapter by chapter, and we will make sure that by the time we come to the next election, we can give a good account of what we have done in fulfillment of the commitments that were written in the manifesto with the people and the electorate of the people of Kenya.
Please don't disturb us. We are trying to sort out the mess you created in the education sector. Tunataka tuwawekee kibao hapo, men at work. Don't disturb. Don't disturb. Wewe hapana sumbua sisi. We are busy fixing the problems that you left in the education sector. And you know what surprises us? The people lecturing us about schools, about education, during their tenure, all these problems were manufactured when they were in office. Shida ya curriculum, shida ya no teachers, no classrooms, all these problems were manufactured when they were in office. And the only track record we know of when they were in office in that sector of education is selling land for a school here in Nairobi called Ruaraka. Sikuna ardhi iliuzwa hapa ya Ruaraka ya shule.
These great men and women have come from far and wide to come here and assure you that they are ready to go out there and help you get your second term. So Your Excellency, your wisdom to have this forum, a forum I have never seen in my 20 years as a politician.
And John Jacob Kira will give you more on that particular meeting that was happening at State House Nairobi, where aspirants converged at State House Nairobi seeking the UDA party ticket ahead of the 2027 general election. To education matters now, a grade 10 student who walked more than 10 kilometers in a desperate bid to save his education in Mogotio constituency has received a full school sponsorship. His determination deeply moved the school principal, that is Moses Kimaru, who made the decision to admit him and fully sponsor his education for the entire 3-year secondary school duration.
With only an admission letter in his hand and hope in his heart, 16-year-old Matthew Kipyegon set out on foot from Matebe village in Mogotio to Emening Boys High School. His parents, who depend on casual labor to survive, were unable to raise school fees for even transport money.
Niliomba mzazi pesa akaniambia sina. Mimi nikapitia mguu hadi hapo. Nikafanya report tarehe 12 lakini pesa haikuwa. Nikakuja sasa kujisaidia kwa hapo, nikaambiana hakuna pesa na wazazi wangu hakuna kazi yenye wanafanya.
But refusing to let poverty stand in the way of his dreams, Kipyegon walked the long distance and presented himself to the school administration.
Nilikuja shule mimi nikiwa peke yangu, nikakuja kujiombea, wakanikubalia. Na sikuja na mtu. Sasa mimi nashukuru shule juu amenisaidia mimi. Na nitangangana.
His courage and determination deeply touched the school principal, Moses Kimaru, who made the noble decision to admit the boy and sponsor in full his secondary education for the next 3 years.
Today we received one of grade 10 children who just arrived with only a letter of admission. After a short consultation with the deputies and the class teachers, I gave the directive that the boy be admitted.
We failed. This is a case that we can adapt, and we are very sure that this boy will finally succeed.
The school also stepped in to purchase all of Kipyegon's basic personal items to ensure he settles comfortably and focuses fully on his studies.
The school, using around 3 strategies, will be able to sort out his needs, and that is how we'll actually ensure that this boy goes through his 3-year program.
We felt that we should come in as an institution, because if we talk about this needy case to our friends, starting with the teachers and the community at large, will get the required support.
An emotional and grateful Kipyegon has now begun his lessons, promising to work hard and make the most of the opportunity. For Lunchtime News, I am Teresa Mutai.
Now, a special needs school in Nairobi has received a major financial boost after a private charitable foundation donated 1.4 million shillings to support learners from vulnerable families. THX22 Foundation, the charitable arm of 22 Bet Africa, together with the Order of Malta, handed over the funds and learning materials to Waithaka Special School in Dagoretti. The school, which hosts about 160 learners with autism and other developmental disabilities, say the support will go towards school fees, specialized care and hiring additional staff as institutions for children with disabilities continue to face funding and infrastructure strain.
We have donated books for the 160 plus learners that are here, and we've also supported them with school fees to the tune of 1.4 million, and we're looking at doing this continuously. And we believe that education and access to education for these particular needy children is not a question of charity, it's a question of rights. It's a right under our constitution. If you look at that, and under the SDGs, it is a right that this particular kind of children should also have an opportunity to education.
The teachers and the staff at the school do some of the most important work in the world. taking care of people that can't take care of themselves. And so this donation will allow them and the broader community to support these children. And for us, that's the most important thing, so that we can ensure that they are treated with respect and dignity.
This is quite a great milestone for this school because the needs are enormous for bringing up a special child and even taking care of a special child in school. Their medical needs, their mobility care, special diet, the needs are enormous. So I would request if we can get other donors to come in for the many needs, even infrastructure improvement. We really appreciate it.
Gender Cabinet Secretary Hannah Cheptumo has urged stakeholders to collaborate in improving daycare services within prisons to ensure the safety and well-being of children living with incarcerated mothers. Speaking during a visit to Eldoret GK prison, Cheptumo revealed that the facility has a capacity to host only 4 children, is currently hosting 29. She called on development partners, county governments and civil society organizations to work together in upgrading prison childcare infrastructure.
We are launching the daycare center for children, and we very much hope that it can be completed within a few months, so the children who are here with their mothers can enjoy a daycare facility whilst their mothers are undergoing training to reintegrate them once they are released from prison.
At any one time, only 4 children can be comfortable, but the rest, the 25, do not have a place to stay or to play or to sleep. And therefore, I want to applaud the European Union for the good plan that they have in place. Even as they plan to do that, as a government, we will also support them.
Now to the corridors of justice, where Turkish billionaire Osman El-Sek, who is facing terrorism charges linking him to Al-Shabaab terrorist group, has been released on a 1 million shilling bond with a Kenyan surety. Appearing before senior resident magistrate David Odhiambo, the defense lawyers John Khaminywa, Wycliffe Ombeta and Daniel Wamosa said the terrorism charges were defective and applied for their dismissal. For this and other stories making headlines within the court, here is the report with Michael Mwandiga with our Scales of Justice segment.
Turkish billionaire Osman El-Sek is also facing other counts of possession of a Glock pistol at Majengo Kanamai, Kilifi County, with intent to use it in a manner that was prejudicial to public order, and assault charges alongside his countryman Gorman Shindikshi. The two are accused of assaulting Boniface Katana and causing him bodily harm at Majengo Kanamai on January 12th, the year 2026. Sandishi was released on a 500,000 shillings bond or a 200,000 shillings cash bail and 2 sureties. The two are expected to appear in court on January 19th, the year 2026 for a pre-trial.
Accused to have their passports continue being deposited in court. We meet on 19th of February for pre-trial before this court.
Meanwhile, at the Kahawa Law Courts, Senior Principal Magistrate Gideon Kiage has closed 2 files against a Turkish national, Ahmed Mustafa Gungor, who was seeking refugee status in Kenya after the state withdrew terror financing allegations against him. Mustafa had been arrested at the Nairobi SGR station and was detained for 30 days by the anti-terrorist police unit over claims that he was associating with and financing terrorist groups and that he owned property suspected to be proceeds of terrorism. And the Nairobi Anti-Corruption Court has summoned lawyer Steve Ogola and Capitol Hill Officer Commanding Station Tasker Opondo to testify in the former Nairobi County Governor Mike Sonko's 20 million shilling graft case. This is after Sonko, through his lawyer Asa Nyakundi, made an application asking the court to compel the 2 witnesses to testify, saying their evidence could influence the outcome of the trial. Still at the Milimani Law Courts, a judicial activist, Francis Awino, has filed a petition before the High Court seeking constitutional declaration damages and institutional accountability measures from the Public Service Commission on the suitability of the Kenya Wildlife Service KWS Director General Erastus Kanga to hold office. The petitioner is accusing the DG of illegally detaining him on the January 14th, the year 2026, upon learning his intentions to question accountability at KWS.
I want you to protect human violations in this nation. It's the same way I want you to protect activists in this nation. I'm a judicial activist. And the reason as to why we go to court, it is so that we can make those people who are in court accountable. Na kama hawataki kuwa accountable, waachane na ofisi za serikali because they are being paid by our tax.
Elsewhere, 2 suspects in Olkalau, Nyandarua County have been released on a cash bail of 300,000 shillings, pending hearing and determination of the case on March 16th, the year 2026. The duo James Masharia and Kelvin Ndungu, who were arraigned before presiding magistrate Lynn Atamba, denied charges of stealing a Toyota NZE motor vehicle within a site area in Olkalau on February 2nd, the year 2026, and other count of handling a stolen property, which is a motor vehicle, in Njoro, Nakuru County. Finally, a court in Nyeri County has granted the Independent Policing Oversight Authority (IPOA) an additional 7 days to complete investigations into a matter where police officer Peter Wamiti is accused of fatally shooting a Karatina businessman George Gathu on January 18th, the year 2026.
I will extend the period to continue holding the suspect by 7 days only. Mentioned on 9th of February, the suspect is being detained at Nyeri Police Station.
Now, from the court's Interior Cabinet Secretary, that is Kipchumba Murkomen, has announced that the government will conduct a security operation in Mukodogo Forest to flush out bandits as they recover stolen livestock. Now, speaking at Kurum in Laikipia North, Murkomen said the operation will commence in the next 48 hours. The CS also cautioned those living in the forest to vacate. Police boss Douglas Kanja assured residents that the operation will be meticulous to ensure a lasting peaceful coexistence.
Itafika masaa 48 tutaanza operations mpya hapa katika sehemu hii. Hapa Mukokodo Forest sio shamba ya kibinafsi. Mukokodo Forest ni shamba ya serikali. Kwa hivyo haiwezekani mtu kutuambia kwamba tukifanya operationi kwa Mukokodo Forest na sehemu hizo zote ati mtu atuambia kwamba tulikuja kupiga wananchi.
Tutalete vifaa zetu hapa. Mtu asianze kulia ule yako kwa hiyo rososi huko, ule yako kwa hiyo mlima ingine, hiyo anafichana mahali hiyo ingine. Hapana lia kama sisi tunafika hapo. Maana sisi tutakutoa bio kwa bio. Kama vile RC yote wamesema hapa, tutatimua kila mtu mpaka atoke kwa zidi kweli. Ile msitu tutaweka maafisa ya forest wakae huko.
Also, still on security matters, residents of Makalda in Nyatike Sub-County, Migori County, staged a peaceful demonstration at the Makalda Trading Centre to protest rising cases of insecurity in the area. The protest followed an incident where 2 traders were shot and injured by armed robbers on Sunday night. Speaking at Makalda Centre, the residents, led by their area member of the County Assembly, Felix Okwanyo, said that the incident had instilled fear among traders and locals, prompting calls for urgent action from security agencies. Nyatike North Sub-County Deputy County Commissioner Daniel Omkoko said investigations into the incidents are ongoing. The attack reportedly occurred at around 9 p.m. as the victims were closing their shop.
Migori is becoming too much. So I want to urge you to at least organize a security meeting, a county security meeting, so that you deal with this menace once and for all.
Na amani tena tuna ulinzi na kutokea hii mwaka hii yenye tunaanza tumeona kwamba Nyatike imeharibika. Tunaomba tu MP Marwa wetu na serikali wetu ambao anatulinda ili watoke nje watulinde, kwa sababu sisi ni wamama na tunatoka hapa saa 3. Hatuna vile tunaweza safiri kwa njia kama hakuna ulinzi nzuri.
Hii eneo yetu ni eneo ya madini, na eneo ya madini inaleta mkusanyiko ya watu kutoka sehemu mbalimbali. Tuko na watu kutoka DRC, Burundi, Zimbabwe, Uganda, Tanzania na pia sehemu mbalimbali za Kenya. Baadhi ya hao watu huenda sio watu wazuri, na tumeanza kufanya documentation ili kila mwenye shimo ya dhahabu atuelezee na kina nani ambaye ameajiri kufanya kazi.
A section of coast leaders led by the Chief Qadi have called for political tolerance and mutual respect, urging Kenyans to unite and live in peace. Speaking during the official opening of Masjid Utham Ibn Affan at the Sarani grounds, the leaders emphasized the need to protect places of worship from political interference, saying such spaces must remain centers of peace and spiritual guidance. Subsequently, coast residents have been urged to maintain unity, noting that peace and cohesion are key to social and economic development in the region.
Kwa msingi wa dini na mapendo, ili tuweze kwenda mbele, tupate maendeleo na tuishi juu ya imani. Na hiyo kitu ambacho Uislamu wetu unatufundisha. Haijalishi wewe kutoka mrongo gani, unaamini gani, nini, lakini Mungu ni moja. Sote tuwe kitu kimoja, tuweze kuendelea kwa msingi wa dini.
Tutoka msikitini tuwaombea Mungu. Wale ambao wenye kuleta siasa za mgawanyiko, ilobaki kuwaombea Mungu. Kwa sababu hata maneno ya binadamu hayatoshi. Itabidi sasa tuwaregeleshe kwa Mungu. Sijui huyu yafaa, huyu hafai.
Tuwaombea nchi yetu iwe na amani, tuwaombea nchi yetu iwe na utulivu, tuwaombea nchi yetu iwe na mafanikio. Kwa sababu bila ya mafanikio, bila ya amani, hatuwezi kuabudu katika majumba yetu ya ibada.
Now, a primary school head teacher and his family have been left homeless after their houses were torched by an angry mob following the deaths of 2 people linked to a land dispute in Rangwe Sub-County, Homa Bay County. Peter Angong, the head teacher of Onyege Comprehensive School, lost all his property after residents of Wikoiti village set his house on fire. The attack followed allegations by locals that Agong was responsible for the deaths of a retired teacher Joseph Oworth and his wife Pamela Oworth, who died on Sunday and Monday respectively while undergoing treatment at KBC County Referral Hospital. Affected family members fled and are now in hiding over safety concerns as investigations into the land disputes continues.
We really need to address mental health issues among our teaching fraternity and community. They could also be going through a lot of duress, and they are just looking for a small trigger. And probably, just probably, this is what may have happened here. I don't want to justify, but let us follow due process, due procedure. Let justice be served to this family, and not just served, let it be seen also to be served. I know they are going to bring the perpetrators to book, and that also does not make me support arson. Arson is a criminal offense.
Elsewhere, the government is stepping up efforts to mainstream science, technology and innovation, bridging academia with industry to support national development. Science, Research and Innovation Principal Secretary Professor Shauqat Abdul Razak emphasized the need to incorporate research to inform evidence-based decision-making that will drive Kenya's scientific and technological progress. The PS, who was speaking in Naivasha during a consultative forum with policymakers and experts, noted that the 2013 Science, Technology and Innovation Act was designed to turn public institutions into engines of innovation that will in turn boost the country's economy. However, stakeholders raised the issue of funding gaps as a main challenge to the progress of NACOSTI.
Wafanyikazi wao. Kwa hivyo institution zenyewe, hii ni njia muhimu sana kuonyesha wao kazi yao zaidi, kwa sababu wanatilia mkazo wanaweza kusupport some of their, lakini la muhimu zaidi ni National Commission for Science and Technology kutenga kiwango cha bajeti kuonyesha umuhimu serikali nao utilia kwa baadhi ya masuala ya science and technology.
And I encouraged the chairs and the panel that they need to give us good people looking at the constitution of this country, looking at the Science, Technology, Innovation Act, and be able to give people who would be able to have that accountability, transparency, and be able to have an effective way of ensuring that science, research, and innovation can be able to contribute in the society sort of challenges.
Also, 14 former employees of the Italian space agency in Kilifi County have moved to court accusing its labor contractor of unlawful and unfair termination. Now, the workers claim their dismissal was unprocedural, as well as have left them in a severe financial distress, with some saying they are unable to service their loans. Speaking to journalists in Malindi town after filing the suit, the workers urged the court to find their termination unlawful, unfair and unprocedural, demanding the payment of terminal dues of between 1.4 million shillings to 2.4 million shillings.
Tumeona afadhali tutafute haki kotini. Tumeomba sana koti tuangalie, na kwa sababu sisi hatuoni kama kuna sababu zozote ambazo zimetuelekea sisi kufutwa.
Tuliomba kule kotini kwamba tulipwe hiyo mshahara, na kama pengine tajiri ameamua tubaki nje kama vile alivyofanya, basi koti limuamuru tajiri huyu atulipe pesa za ile miaka iliyobaki mpaka retire, kama ambavyo document yake ambayo alisign inaonyesha.
Yale mengine ambayo yanafuatana na kuachishwa kazi kinyume cha utaratibu wa CBA na utaratibu pia wa kisheria na mambo mengineyo ambayo yamekuja na kutatizika wakati hatuna kazi kwa ghafla, wakati watoto wanatatizika na wale magrantees wanaumia kule, hayo yote tumeyaweka wazi ili koti iweze kuyaangalia.
We're also keeping an eye on another story that was currently developing at the event where the IBC chair addressed that story, and so much more will be coming in just a few, but we need to take a short breather, so don't go too far. We have that as well as business and sports.
Komoroka.
Kigumba ni kwa nguruwe, kwa mwanadamu uchungu.
Wazazi wamechangia pakubwa katika kuzorota kwa maadili ya vijana wao.
Wazazi wengi siku hizi wameachia watoto wao vijakazi ambavyo hawajui wanafanya nini, wanafunzwa nini, wanakula nini.
Ni mujibu wa kila mtoto kuchagua njia mwafaka.
Katika neno kaskazini,
maana ya shada ni nini?
Maana ya shada ni utiliaji wa mkazo katika neno.
Shada ni mkazo wa maneno katika matamshi.
Nahodha ameendesha merikebu vizuri. Ukanisho wake utakuwa nahodha hajaendesha merikebu vizuri.
Tamka hii ya makialo inabidi umeibembeleza. Kama neno mob ama ukimbie man sitaipoteza.
Why do we attract the wrong people? So why are we attracted to people who hurt us?
So you've grown up in a very maybe abusive environment, and now you're looking for familiarity.
Your relationship inafaa kuwork because the both of you want it to work.
They put in so much effort to get you, but when they get you, they stop.
So don't get into a relationship if it is not based on Christ himself.
Allow the word of God to bring light into every dark area of your life.
Tunavuna French beans.
Kisha tunaangazia upanzi ama kilimo cha mboga za asili.
Kilimo sio mbaya. Kilimo iko na ina manufaa sababu ina pesa. Ukilima na ulime vile chakula inatakiwa kupandwa, weke mbolea, weke kila kitu. Kama wewe ni mwanzilishi, utaona faida na utaona utatoka bure.
Ungana nasi Jumamosi hii saa 10:30 hapa KBC Channel 1
kwa mseto kamili wa kilimo.
Welcome back and thank you for staying with us. To more news now, where Laikipia County has launched a motorcycle ambulance service aimed at improving access to emergency, maternal and neonatal healthcare, particularly in remote areas of Laikipia North. Long distances and poor road networks have hindered access to health facilities. The initiative is expected to play a critical role in saving the lives of expectant mothers and newborns by providing faster and reliable transportation during emergencies. The motorcycle ambulance are well suited to the region's terrain, enabling them to reach remote villages where conventional ambulances often faces challenges. Speaking during the launch in Rumuruti, Laikipia County Executive Committee member CCM for Health, Dr. Albert Taiti, said the program will address delays that prevent women from accessing skilled care in time.
Launching the pilot for motorcycle ambulance in Laikipia in collaboration with the ISA initiative. As a county, we are very, very grateful because this initiative comes in at the right time when we really want to improve on our health indicators.
We are thinking this is an initiative that is going to actually solve most of the problem, especially on the maternal health, because we understand the region is having issues to do with access and also the bad road network.
We have received 5 motorcycle ambulances, and these are going to supplement the transfer of patients, the ones who require referral services from rural health facilities in Laikipia North and also in parts of Laikipia West.
In other news, residents in Kakamega County have been urged to report any cases of water contamination to enable swift action following safety concerns. The chief officer in the Department of Water and Sanitation assured the water supplied is clean and safe for consumption. At the same time, sugar milling companies have been urged to stop discharging chemicals and waste into the rivers.
Tutaenda kutrace wale customers ambao wamepost kwa mtandao kwamba maji kwa nyumba zao si safi. So hiyo ndio tunajaribu kufanya kuhakikisha kwamba maji ambayo tuna supply kwa watu wetu ni maji safi.
Currently, as I said, there's a lot of drought, and those who are on borehole, their boreholes are actually having some silt. So they could be pumping water from the borehole, and that contains silt, which we see having color when collected into water bottles. So our water, the beauty is that it's fresh water from the river, and that river is permanent river. So we keep on treating water on a daily basis, and we have a laboratory where we do test before the water is distributed to any consumer. We do the test to ascertain that it is water that meets the required standard by WHO.
Also, the Ministry of Water and Irrigation has urged farmers in the Lake region to adopt modern farming and irrigation systems to sustain food production amid climate change. The ministry is promoting irrigation as a solution with the region's potential to use water from Lake Victoria. Samuel Alima noted that declining and unreliable rainfall has made agriculture unsustainable. With the government's plan to establish communal irrigation projects, the initiative aims to make the region food self-sufficient, improve livelihoods, create wealth, especially for youth, and link farmers to markets.
When we rely on rain-fed agriculture, we cannot plant, it is not sustainable, because we cannot plant things like vegetables because we don't know when the rain will disappear. I've started this project so that farmers can irrigate their land that is touching on the lake. they can pump water from the lake and irrigate their farm. I also want to bring in more irrigation projects, not just pumping water from the lake, but also with the water pumps, but irrigation projects that is pumping a lot of water from the lake to the tanks, and then that can irrigate a larger area, covering many farms.
Speaking.
Now, leaders across the East African region have been urged to put aside political differences and prioritize peace, warning that violence and incitement continue to undermine the regional's peace. Now, in a meeting here in Kenya, where delegates warned that instability was disrupting trade, education and livelihoods across the borders.
Communities said instability has disrupted trade, education and livelihoods across borders.
Creating the chaos in communities and the societies for your gain, it will never take you anywhere. It is better to have a good legacy like our former leaders of Pan-Africans like Nyerere, who would advocate for peace, and also for this country, Kenya, Jomo Kenyatta. He fought for peace and advocated for peace.
South Sudan's Minister for East African Community Affairs, General Pieng Deng Kuol, called on young people to take up leadership roles, saying value-driven youth leadership is key to East Africa's economic and political growth.
To really build their leadership abilities and capacities, and let them transit us in a smooth way and in a peaceful way.
Zitech University Director of Corporate Affairs and Marketing, John Mwai, urged the youth to resist political manipulation and instead become ambassadors of peace, noting that young people make up over 60% of the region's population.
It is your right to participate in political activities, but do not have any incidences or do not engage in harmful activities. So do not agree at all to be used by people who want to destroy your future by spoiling the peace that we have as a country.
The forum brought together youth from 6 East African countries. For Lunchtime News, I'm Alvin Kaunder.
Now here's what is happening in the world of business, where Kenya plans to leverage on a circular that has been issued is some of the stories that we're keeping an eye on at this hour. Also, we're keeping tabs on what is happening, given that the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, IEBC chairman, has just addressed members of the Fourth Estate in terms of what happened to Marjan. Those are some of the stories we're keeping an eye on. But for now, we want to update you on some of the stories we do have at this hour. Now, residents of Gikoko area in Kiambu County are expressing concerns over what they term as increased theft in broad daylight. According to the residents, criminals have been breaking into houses during the day and stealing valuable goods. Further, they claim water pipes have been destroyed, affecting farm activities and causing acute water shortage. Traders also say they are forced to close their businesses as early as 6 p.m. owing to security concerns.
Jana nilipata nimekuja nimeibiwa stima, na to make the matter once wametoa waya zote za mita, wakaingia kwa nyumba wakatuanisha ceiling, wakapanda juu wakatoa waya zote, wiring yote ya nyumba, socket zote wakaharibu. Na kwa hii kijiji yetu tuko na some cases like 10. Tafadhali tena tunaomba tu watu wetu wa security, askari wetu tuangalieni security. Tuko na police post haitusaidii hapa kwetu kwa hii kijiji.
Hata mimi nakashirika Swahili mimi sielewi sana. Na hii tapu hasa sijui vile inaitwa, hii inasikianga tapu. Hii ya plastic hakuna demand. Hii ya kopa ndio iko na biashara nayo. Na mwenye kufungua ni watu wa Braba. Kwa ajili ile bana anafungua naye ni hii pipeline. Na uwezi ukasikia.
Juu sasa sisi tunajiuliza, hii insecurity kienda hivyo tutaenda aje? Juu hata kama unaenda kwa bafu unabeba funguo na unatoka ukiangalia saidi zote. Watu angalilie tu. Tuitwe tu mkutano ya security ndio tujue the way forward.
So tungetaka kuuliza chief wa hii area yetu. Hapa area yetu pale Kihingo kuna police post. Tungetaka kuona mkifanya kazi ndio watu wakishesho waridhike. Kesi ni kama 10 kwa sababu wamekuwa na
And now back to that initial story that leads our business stories today. Kenya plans to leverage on a circular economy to spur the apparel and textile industry. Micro, small and medium enterprise development principal secretary Susan Mangeni says the government is seeking funds to increase value addition in fiber crops to reduce post-harvest losses and reduce green gas emissions through by-waste recycling.
This is what we are really promoting amongst our young people, because we want them to take up opportunity and come up with innovative ideas. What else can you get from banana farm? Aside from the food part of it, the banana itself, the fibers, come up with idea designs, come up with some very good brands that can fetch good income even on the international market. A lot of our budget is going to go to the circular economy, because again, what we've been regarding as wastages, we can generate a lot of value from it just by valorizing even our existing traditional value chain, like now banana.
There is a need for scaled investment in grid-connected solar power and energy storage to support rising electricity demand and strengthen grid reliability. Speakers at the Intersolar Africa 2026 conference said that while in Kenya has an abundant solar potential, utility-scale solar remains underdeveloped, calling for stronger private sector participation and long-term financing.
Kenya currently has about 210 megawatts of grid-connected solar power, representing 6.5% of the installed electricity capacity, with additional capacity coming from decentralized solutions such as mini-grids, solar home systems, and commercial and industrial installations. Kenya's solar potential remains largely untapped.
Connected solar represents about 6.5% of Kenya's installed electricity capacity, which is equivalent to about 210 megawatts.
All know Africa has great potential. We have heard this many times, and it's very obvious. But for some reason, for a long time, not a lot of installation was happening. And we're seeing this now, particularly in this region.
Kenya is ramping up efforts to modernize transmission infrastructure and create an enabling environment for investors to pump in capital for large-scale solar and battery energy storage projects.
Solar contributes over 210 megawatts of the approximately 3,200 megawatts installed capacity in Kenya, and over 300 megawatts in captive power supply, particularly in the commercial industrial sector in Kenya. In this regard, EPRA has been developing regulations that promote the continued uptake of renewable energy solutions.
The Intersolar Africa 2026 brought together policymakers, investors, and technology firms from across Africa and beyond to showcase innovations in solar, energy storage, grid management, and e-mobility. Trevor Ngendo for Lunchtime News.
Now, business conditions improved last month, but the momentum slowed as a softer sales growth tempered activity. Now, the latest Stanbic Bank Purchasing Managers Index indicates that business recorded weaker increases in employment and purchasing amid a reduction in backlog and concerns about the excess inputs.
The latest Stanbic Bank Purchasing Managers Index retreated from a reading of 53.7 in December to 51.9 in January, while any reading above 50.0 indicates an improvement in business conditions. The January survey suggests that the strong momentum seen at the end of 2025 was less pronounced. The pace of growth was also the joint slowest in the current cycle, along with last September. Slowed sales led to a ripple effect across the economy, with Kenyan businesses scaling back on new hires and reducing the rate of input purchases. Notably, firms managed to clear outstanding work at the fastest rate in nearly 5 years, suggesting that the current easing in activity is partly due to more efficient operations and a lack of new pressures on capacity. Standard Bank economist Christopher Legilisho noted that improved access to credit and aggressive marketing efforts have helped sustain private sector activity. Business confidence for the year ahead actually ticked up to a 5-month high in January, supported by plans of diversification and new premises. Furthermore, while businesses faced rising costs, intense market competition forced many firms to limit price hikes, helping to keep inflation in check at 4.4%. Alan Auko, Lunchtime News.
And let's take a look at some of the stories making headlines across the globe when it comes to business matters, especially from Russia and the US. Next week to strengthen the legal obligation of social media companies and could include liability for senior executives who failed to remove illegal content. Spanish Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez is urging technology companies to bear greater social responsibility, saying that the government could no longer ignore abuses on social media platforms. Explaining the proposed ban on under-16s, Sanchez said children were increasingly exposed to online risks such as addiction, abuse, manipulation, and violent or explicit content. Meanwhile, Russia's gross domestic product expanded 1% in 2025, which was in line with expectations. Russian President Vladimir Putin says the country's economic growth rate in 2025 was lower than the 4.1% recorded in 2023 and 4.3% in 2024, attributing to the slowdown to deliberate government measures designed to contain inflation. Putin says Russia must restore economic growth momentum, improve business climate, and boost investment activity with a focus on raising labor productivity. He says Russia's inflation rate fell to 5.6% in 2025 from 9.5% in the previous year. Finally, U.S. President Donald Trump has signed a massive funding package ending a partial government shutdown that began Saturday. The latest package will fund multiple U.S. federal agencies for the remainder of the fiscal year, which ends on September 30th. In recent years, as a political polarization between the Republican and the Democratic parties has intensified, the U.S. federal government has repeatedly fallen into crisis of shutdown or being on the brink of shutdown. A record-breaking federal government shutdown that lasted 43 days came to an end more than 2 months ago. Now finally, let's play. We start off in Spain, where Barcelona secured a spot in the Copa del Rey semi-finals after a 2-1 win over Elche in a thrilling encounter played last night at the Carlos Belmonte Stadium. Now, Lamine Yamal gave Barcelona the lead in the 38th minute with a composed finish. Ronald Araujo doubled the advantage in the 56th minute, leading home for Marcus Rashford assist. Now, Elche, who had stunned Real Madrid in the previous round, threatened another upset when Javier Moreno pulled one back in the 87th minute. Despite late pressure, Barca held firm to secure their semi-final spot. Meanwhile, in DFB Pokal, Bayer Leverkusen dominated their match against St. Pauli to progress to the last four. Martin Terreur opened the scoring in the 32nd minute before Patrick Schick added a second goal just after the hour mark. The victory was sealed in stoppage time when Jonas Honfman finished off a swift counter-attack to make it 3-0.
Grimaldo and Hofmann wanted it back, and Hofmann's finished. That puts the seal on it. Job done by Leverkusen.
And with much satisfaction, Kai Havertz's 97th last-minute goal assured Arsenal a spot in the Carabao Cup final after they beat Chelsea 1-0 to advance 4-2 on aggregate. Now both teams approach the game with confidence, keeping each other at bay, but Chelsea's mistake in the dying minutes saw them trail against the Gunners. Following the win, Arsenal look forward to lift this year's Carabao Cup, with their last appearance in the final being back in 2018, where they lost 3-0 to Manchester City. They might have a rematch this year if Manchester City beat Newcastle in the remaining semi-final return tonight. And finally, in the Italian Serie A, AC Milan thrashed host Bologna 3-0 with goals from Christopher Nkunku, Loftus-Cheek and Rabiot. The emphatic win saw them move up to the second position with 50 points and 5 points behind league leaders Inter Milan.
On by Trossard.
He's in on the other side.
Rice to play it across. And Kai Havertz to send Arsenal.
Atakame for Nkunku. And now Rabiot, Loftus-Cheek. Now Nkunku. Penalty. Nkunku to make it 2. Miranda.
I only have one question for you. Are you able to hear something? Now that silence is brought to you by the mighty Gunners. We wish and we welcome them. This Saturday we are playing against Sunderland. Come plenty and watch the mighty Gunners again, hoping that they will lose. Now that concludes our bulletin. My name is Abdiaziz Hashim, the sign language interpreter. At the bottom end of the screen is Caroline Joroge. But before I go, I want to leave you with one of our episodes of Military Tales that includes Richard Korir. Good afternoon.
We drive about 20 kilometers from Eldoret City to Kipsamo village in Kapseret constituency. Here we are welcomed by one former Kenya Army officer, Warrant Officer 2 retired Richard Kipkorir Tinga, who served for over 3 decades.
Kwa majina mimi naitwa Richard Kipkorir Cheruiyot Tinga. Nilisaliwa Nandi district, pande wa Aldai huko Kapsabet huko.
As a young boy, Tinga joined Kapso Primary School and Samoei Secondary School before joining the army in 1978.
Niliajiriwa jeshi tarehe 1 mwezi wa 3 1978, ambaye niliandikiwa Kapsabet Nandi district, na nika train Langata Barracks which is 7 care. Nikamaliza training, nikapostiwa nikaenda Nanyuki Barracks ambaye ni 10 engineers, ambaye sasa tunaweza sema tulikurutiwa ama tuliandikwa na hayati Mzee Jomo Kenyatta.
In his first assignment, he was a driver in the 10th Engineers Battalion in Nanyuki, where he also got his first promotion.
Mimi nilienda pale nikaanza kwanza kama driver, ordinary driver. In fact, nilikuwa naendesha CEO yangu ambaye ni retired Major General Warutere. 86 nilikuja Thika na hiyo rank hiyo ya kopro. 89 nikapewa rank of sergeant na kupelekwa mpaka Isiolo School of Combat Engineers. Nikakaa huko mwaka moja nikiwa nasimamia magari. After kukaa mwaka moja nikawa reposted back, nikarutishwa back to 10 engineers Nanyuki. My mother unit ambaye nilianzia maisha yangu. Nikarutishwa hapo kutoka 89 nikaja tu nikasimamia magari. Nimewacha sasa kuendesha, sasa nikawa in charge ya transport. Mimi nikakaa nikafaa rank of senior sergeant, nikiwa hiyo Nanyuki hiyo nikafaa rank of warrant officer 2, ambaye hiyo rank nilikaa naye nikiwa MTO for 15 years.
Having been employed in the 70s and served under 4 presidents, he points out the changes, especially on the welfare of soldiers over the years.
Moi wakati aliingia, pesa ikaongezwa, ikasonga juu. Wakati Kibaki aliingia, pesa ikaongezwa, ikasonga juu. Wakati Jusi Uhuru ameingia, pesa imeongezwa. Wakati huo mambo ya panga haikukua. Yes, tulikuwa tuna save pesa kwa posta.
34 years in the forces, he points out march and shoot exercises as the most intense that tried every soldier to the core during his illustrious career.
March and shoot tulitrain Isiolo, but nilienda march and shoot ambaye nilienda wakati nilirudi kambi, hata nilikuwa nimechange, nilikuwa nimekuwa nyeusi, mambo ya kuwa brown iliisha. Yani nikifika tunatembea usiku na mchana, ambaye tukiletewa hata chakula ati ni lunch, mimi natafuta mahali iko kifuli na usingizi. Chakula haingii, mnapumzika mchana, lakini ikifika saa 12 jioni, mwendo wenu ni ya usiku mpaka kesho asubuhi. Hakuna kufunga macho na mnaishi. Mnaweza toka, tuseme kutoka Eldoreti mwende mpaka Nakuru ama over Nakuru, bio Nakuru, bila kufunga macho na mnaishi, bila kupumzika. Uko na misiko yako umepepa, uko na punduki umepepa, uko na risasi yako umepepa, na hivi vitu yote ni nzito. So unaenda mpaka mguu umefaa kiato namna umefaa, lakini mguu chini inachupuka.
In 2005, Tinga was among soldiers in the United Nations Peace Mission in Eritrea and reminds Kenyans on the essence of peace.
Kama inawezekana tuishi na amani namna tunaishi, pale watu wako na shida, hawana amani, wako na shida, kila kitu ni shida, kupata chakula ni tabu, pale hakuna mambo ya kusema ati iko sheria, watu wanauana. Kuua mtu sio problem, uko kuua mtu sio shida. Tukiwa wana Kenya tunakaa vizuri, ambaye mimi hata kama nimekuja nyumbani ningewaomba ya kwamba wajue inji ambaye iko na msosano ama mafarakano, hakuna maendeleo yoyote.
The former Army Motor Transport Officer MTO advises young serving soldiers to remain true to country and duty.
Mimi ningetaka discipline ya military ipaki namna ilikuwa, namna tulikuta na namna tuliwacha. Ningependa iendelee hivyo, ndio tuwe na china mzuri ya jeshi ni discipline.
A family man and father of 4 acknowledges his family support for over the 3 decades he served in the army.
As much as nilikuwa natuma pesa, but nilipata pipi mzuri ambaye alijua ya kwamba mzee ako kazi na mzee atarudi nyumbani. Kazi nyingi ni yeye amefanya. Mimi tu nimekuja kumsupport. Na kwa familia kwangu Mungu amenijalia na watoto 4. Niko na wasichana 2 na vijana 2. Jana yangu hakuna mtu yote ametaka military. Asante. Thank you very much. Thank you. Nimeshukuru.
Tinga, who was ailing, passed on a few months after this interview. And even though he's gone, every mile he drove was a testament of his unwavering commitment, and the impact of his dedication will echo on every road we travel. Rest in peace, Tinga. For Military Tales, I'm Ben Troy Njue.
Friday night again. Greetings in the name of the Most High, Jah Rastafari. My good name is Marley Moses, the positive warrior, alongside...
Yes, sir, DJ D-Rage, the baddest. Each and every Wednesday from 10 p.m. on KBC Channel 1 TV.
Tunakuletea the biggest reggae party in 254 in a yard extra. Extra niceness of reggae music.
Extra dose of entertainment.
When the thing is nice,
we have to do it twice.
Hali vipi mtazamaji wetu wa Power? Karibu katika kipindi chetu cha mkulima, tukiwa tayari kujifunza mbinu mbalimbali pamoja na teknolojia zinazoboresha mazao. Tupo katika eneo la Kiambaa, ni eneo lenye baridi, lakini hapa kilimo kinafanyika tele, au sio? Sera yetu kuu ikiwa ni kilimo chenye ustawi na kilimo kinachoambatana na mabadiliko ya tabia nchi Karen, au sio?
Kweli kabisa, na niwakumbushe kwamba kilimo ndicho uti wa mgongo wa uchumi hapa nchini Kenya. Na kama ilivyo kawaida yetu kwenye mkulima, tunawaletea wataalamu wanaokupa ushauri unaogeuza shauku ama hamu yako kuwa mkulima kuwa biashara yenye tija. Hapa hivi Kiambaa tuna mkulima anayejihusisha na hydroponics. Boniface, waelewa maana yake gani hii?
Hydroponics ni aina ya kilimo ambacho kwanza ni cha kisasa, teknolojia ya kisasa, na ni kilimo ambacho hakihitaji udongo. Wanasema ni kilimo ambacho hakihitaji title deed kuweza kufanyika vizuri, au sio?
Kweli kabisa. Hivyo basi mkulima, chukua kitabu na kalamu, tujifunze mengi kuhusu kilimo hiki kisichohitaji udongo.
Alafu nikuambia kwamba mkulima wetu leo hii ni mwenye uzoefu na pia ni mwenye elimu ya kilimo. Kwa hivyo tupo katika mikono salama tukija katika mazungumzo ya wiki hii. Mimi naitwa Boniface Mutunga.
Nami naitwa Karen Kanewe.
Karibu. Haya basi, ndio hivyo, tunakutana na mwenyeji wetu mkulima ambaye anafanya aina ya kilimo hiki ambacho hakitumii udongo na pia ni kilimo cha kisasa. Anajulikana kama Derek. Ndio huyu hapa. Mr. Derek, jambo.
Jambo sana Mr. Boniface.
Asante sana kwa kutukaribisha hapa shambani.
Naam.
Ni kitu kizuri ambacho unafanya hapa.
Karibu sana Boniface.
Haya, jikaribishe, jieleze kwa mtazamaji wewe ni nani, unafanya nini na malengo yako ni gani hapa shambani.
Naam, karibu sana AgriPlant Kenya. Majina yangu ni Derek Mugodo, nafanya kazi, mimi ni mtaalamu na mwanzilishi wa AgriPlant Kenya. Ni kampuni ambayo tunafanya kazi na taasisi mbalimbali kwa jamii kwa ujumla. Tunafanya kazi na shule, tunafanya kazi na shule hata za upili, ambapo tunajaribu kuhamasisha kuhusu mambo ya kilimo cha kisasa ama climate smart agriculture. Na kwa hii shamba tuko na vipengele ama ukulima aina nyingi, na moja wapo ambayo tunahamasisha watu kuhusu ama kutaka kujiunga nayo ni kilimo ambacho ni hydroponics. Hydroponics ni kilimo ambacho unalima kutotumia udongo.
Ni mfumo gani huu? Hii unaweza ukasema ni nini haswa?
So ukiangalia hii system na hii nyingine
ndio
zinafanana. Na hii tunaita ni moja wapo ya njia ya kulima ukiweza kuenda juu ama vertical farming. Na hii ni hydroponic system ambayo sisi tumeita is an A-frame vertical hydroponic system, ama ni hydroponic, njia ya kulima hydroponic ambayo inatumia technology ambayo tunaita nutrient film technique. Nutrient film technique, hii mifereji unaona hii, na ile unaona pale kuna mfereji wa mweusi, ukifungulia, jaribu kufungulia uone. Ukifungulia hivyo, maji yanatoka kwenye tank na yanakuja yanaingia kwenye mfereji huu wa kwanza ambao tunatumia waste